Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. 5 things as doctors we absolutely avoid, and you as patients should absolutely avoid as well. We're going to go through all 5 of these things. Some of them are absolute scams that you've come across on your own, and we're going to explain to you why. The first one, ultra processed health foods. What are we talking about? We're talking about those things you run across in the grocery store that say they're healthy, that say they're good for you, but it's actually a scam. Dr. Peter, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, this is so true. And it's everywhere in the supermarkets now when you go, all these health drinks and health alternatives and healthier snacks are really, a lot of them are just really ultra processed carbs, really disguised as being health foods. One that comes up a lot is yogurt. So I'm a big fan of high quality, good Greek yogurt. I am half Greek, so I'm a little biased to that, but a lot of the yogurt that we see is low fat or no fat. And I would avoid those because a lot of them, the minute you take away fat, what are you adding is sugar. And so we're talking about, they have high fructose corn syrup. They have syrups of fruit on the bottom yogurts, Light and Fit. There are so many different names given to us, but if you look at it, it actually can have more calories in that and more sugar content than ice cream, which is crazy to think, right? And that's just a perfect example that you see every day in the grocery store.
A pretend health food. And that is such a classic scam that you see over and over again. They're preying on this low fat means good. What they're not telling you is we've taken out fat and what we've put in is sugar, and then we called it by a different name. They just list carbohydrates on the back, but they're not telling you about all these syrups, about these simple sugars that they put inside. So you're absolutely right. What about protein bars? This is a huge one, because you'll see protein bars all the time that seem to be healthy for you, but if you turn them over and look what's inside, there is some serious stuff in there.
Oh, sure. I mean, we're big proponents of high quality, good protein, right? And
Absolutely.
I think that is just such an important part of your diet. But the problem is now you go to the grocery store and they have a whole aisle dedicated to protein bars. And a lot of them are just filled with seed oils, highly processed oils that are cheaply manufactured with hexane and other chemicals. We're talking about soybean oil, palm oil, and these are put into these protein bars because they're cheap alternatives. And so while there can be a lot of grams of protein, the actual ingredient list is just awful.
So if you turn over a protein bar, what kind of stuff are you looking for? You want a simple list, I would imagine, and you don't want these hideous compounds, but is there stuff that is acceptable when you look at it?
Well, good quality. So I think that, that's very important, and the amount of grams per protein, but it's really what you see a lot is the seed oils. And so you really want to avoid seed oils, and it's sunflower, it's soybean oil, and a lot of times it'll say refined. That is probably one of the biggest things that you see in these protein bars. Not to mention, you obviously want to look out for dyes and other just poor quality forms of protein.
The other things I've seen, and we've been talking about this earlier, is the veggie chips. That's a major scam, right? Just because it's a vegetable doesn't mean it's healthy.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Anyone who has kids or grandkids, you always feel like maybe that's a good alternative that, oh, look, it's cauliflower sticks, made into chips or veggie chips in whatever matter. But is it really like any vegetables in those chips?
I mean, what's the difference between those and potato chips? I mean, absolutely nothing, right? So they still have all the familiar bad ingredients that go into the kind of potato chips that make you sick when you're sitting on the couch eating them all day. So I think that's another big scam we see. And then this is my favorite, plant-based meat alternatives. I remember that was a big fad for a long time. They said, well, if it's not meat, if it's a plant-based product that's going into this burger, it's going to be healthy. And then you look at the different kinds of chemicals and synthetic compounds they put into these things to make them taste like meat and look like meat. And when you dissected it all, it was just a Frankenstein of unhealthiness.
Oh yeah, I mean, these alternatives, these plant-based, and just because it says it's plant-based doesn't mean it's healthy whatsoever. And as a cardiologist, this was really trending when all these different companies started selling sausages that were made from alternative or alternative meats or burgers, and we thought it was heart healthy. But actually, in reality, it's so much worse because they are filled again with seed oils, which are really inflammatory. I'll hammer seed oils again and again because this is actually makes a big part of this list. They cause inflammation in the body. They worsen heart disease. I'm a big proponent of just eating clean, eating healthy, getting good quality protein. It's just complete garbage.
You know what the other big one is? And I'm glad I'm sitting with a cardiologist, Dr. Peter, but what about all those things that say heart healthy? Like heart healthy breakfast.
Yeah, I think that again is a really big misnomer, and I think that that labeling needs to be much stricter. And I feel like you can put that any product, and in reality, it can still be ultra processed, and someone's going to label it as heart healthy. So you can't just go by packaging. I think packaging is really tricky. I think the food industry has made packaging meant to deceive. And really, if there's 25 ingredients, say in veggie chips, then does it make you think that, well, why are there 25 ingredients? There's way too many chemicals in those.
All right. And the last one I want to talk about in this category is salad kits. So you've seen these probably. You go to some grocery store and you see them set up there and everything's in there that you could possibly need. You know, it's got the cheese, it's got the dressing in a little plastic thing. Some of these seem okay, but there's definitely some strange choices in there, correct?
Well, I think it just, again, it's all packaging and it's branding and it looks like it's a healthier alternative. But, you really need to go back and read the labels and take the carb count. Take it, divide that number by 9, and you can get how many teaspoons of sugar is actually in that package. And it's really like you may as well just have a cheeseburger at a fast food restaurant and some of these salads. I mean, the salad is just a vehicle to get all the highly processed dressing that they put in there into your mouth. And actually, I want to talk about one other really commonly used and pushed milk alternative, and that's oat milk. If you look at the ingredients, some of the first ingredients on that is going to be a soybean oil, is going to be a highly processed seed oil and sugar. And so you're essentially you're taking away milk. And I get it, some people are just lactose intolerant and maybe almond milk or good quality would be fine. But oat milk, it's bad oils, a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs.
So these are some major scams you guys can watch out for. Ultra processed health foods. So they've got the health food label on them, but they're not really healthy. The next category we want to talk to you about, something to avoid, is daily NSAID use. What is an NSAID? Why should you avoid it? And why are you probably taking it or might be taking it? And we're talking about things like ibuprofen, Tylenol, or aspirin that you may be taking for aches and pains. Why is it so bad to take them every day potentially for these kind of issues?
Well, I think first of all, you really should come to the root cause of why you're having the pain. And some people just have arthritis and wear and tear on the joints, or what we call osteoarthritis. And I understand that people do need pain relief for that. But the problem is, especially with the ibuprofen and some of the other brands like Aleve and Motrin, is that it can be really, really harsh on your kidneys. And so not only cause kidney disease, but it can also raise blood pressure. What that class of medications does is they reduce blood flow periodically to the kidney, and then your kidney thinks, well, you have lower blood flow, which means your blood pressure may be low, and it causes a signal to your brain to start raising your blood pressure. And that's why when people start on NSAIDs, especially with a pre-existing history of high blood pressure, can get spiking blood pressure readings.
Well, that's very interesting. Yes, absolutely. We do see that sometimes where people come to the office and their blood pressure's high, and we check and they're on a daily NSAID, and that can actually be a huge problem. They have a number of other side effects. Ibuprofen specifically and products similar to it can cause stomach bleeding and ulcers if you take it very regularly, especially if you drink alcohol with it, or if you're on a blood thinner, which can be a disaster. So that's another big one, another reason you have to be very careful with these. And then Tylenol. Tylenol can also be a very dangerous medication, specifically for your liver. If you're taking this very regularly, or you take too much, or you mix it with some of these agents, you can really start to get into trouble.
And that's so not talked about, I think, in the health world. And I think that when's the last time your doctor has told you about the dangers of Tylenol? I think you're always told to take that as an alternative to other pain things. And it's not a great pain relief medication out there.
You know what the problem is these are over the counter, so anybody can go and get them, and nobody's going to provide you with a major warning other than seeing it written on the bottle. But when you're picking it up, it is assumed if I can pick it up over the counter, it must be okay. And that couldn't be further from the truth. These can be very dangerous medications if you're not careful.
That's so true. Good point.
Well, this is a big one because it's the new year and people want to make big changes. There are a lot of dietary fads that people tend to fall into. So they'll see these online, they'll see these in videos, and they start picking up these new dietary fads. Why do we avoid these? Why don't we like these, Dr. Peter?
I'm a firm believer when it comes to longevity that consistency is a key and one of the key components of longevity. And so a lot of people for the new year, they have dry or sober January. They go on to all these fad diets where they're restricting caloric intake. You're restricting and essentially starving yourself. And it just is not sustainable. And people do it for a short period of time and then it all comes back.
I completely agree with you. A lot of these are completely not sustainable. I mean, if you look at some of these diets that are discussed online, there is no way somebody could adhere to them. And some of them you shouldn't adhere to. I mean, some of them, these diets I've looked at, they're pure meat, they're pure protein, but they don't think about a number of the minerals and vitamins that you need to get. They don't include vegetables. I mean, there are a lot of these things that I look at and I think are just absolutely nuts.
Absolutely. And a lot of people with reducing alcohol or just cutting it out. And what happens February 1st, they go back to it and the whole cycle, repeats itself. What the key is consistency. And if you're consistent, you don't need to have any extreme changes in January when the new year comes. The other thing I want to talk about and just touch base on is the GLP-1s. And so I've had patients before, and this has happened too. So remember, GLP-1s is trending now. Everyone is taking them. Everyone is asking for them. The problem I have with GLP-1s is that people are taking them but not making lifestyle changes. Right. And what's happening is you're losing lean muscle mass, which is a predictor of longevity. So people are trying to look better and maybe feel better, but it's not going to make you live longer. You're going to lose muscle mass. Muscle is a metabolic organ. It burns calories, it stops insulin resistance, and it drives your metabolism as well. And so when you lose, say, 40 to 50 pounds on a GLP-1, you're losing lean muscle mass. So then when you stop it, we know that the weight comes back. But now what happened is you have lost muscle mass. So when you stop it, your metabolism is going to be worse than when you started it. And so it's just something to think about there. Now, I know people out there use it and can use it for diabetes, sleep apnea, and there are some definitive uses for it, but not just for the pure weight loss without lifestyle changes. I think that's what we're trying to drive home here.
No question, you have to have lifestyle changes and consistency without question. That's the key. If you're not consistent and you do these quick fads and you do these quick fixes, you're not going to achieve your goals. The next one is, no surprise, sugar. So concentrated sugars we avoid at all costs. Yes, a tiny sprinkle here and there is fine, but consistent large amounts of sugar is absolutely terrible for you, specifically when they come in sodas. I think sodas have been a hidden source of sugar for quite some time, and other beverages actually can be a silent kind of hidden way that you can be taking in a lot of this sugar. You can get it in your coffee drinks. And a big one we were just talking about is smoothies. So a lot of the time there are these smoothie fads, and Dr. Peter has a lot of thoughts on this, that can be a hidden source of sugar as well, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we all think that smoothie, that's great and healthy. But next time you get a smoothie, look at the carb count. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you could actually you might as well be having a milkshake in some of these. And it's just, again, it's brand marketing and it's deceitful. And a lot of these green health drinks, the smoothies that are, especially if they're store-bought, are just full of bad sugars. And we know that sugar causes inflammation. That's why we don't like it. It causes increase in heart disease. It worsens joint pain. I think most disease states have a final common pathway of inflammation. Sodas, liquid death. I mean that sodas have so much sugar in them. It's incredible. And not to mention that, but people often don't realize with that is the phosphoric acid that is present in a lot of these soft drinks. And phosphoric acid leaches calcium from your bones. And so that whole phosphorus calcium balance, the more you drink of these sodas, it's going to worsen just about every process in your body, but you don't think about it, could also weaken your bones as well.
Ruins your teeth, causes gum disease as well. Yeah.
Everything. Ruins your teeth, tears through your body and causes inflammation and sugar spikes, insulin resistance.
Awful. So make sure you're not drinking your sugars. We all know about avoiding cupcakes and candy, but that's where it can hide a lot of the time. The sugars will be coming into the drinks, and you may or may not notice it's even happening. So be very careful and make sure it's not getting into you that way as well. And the last one, and a very important one, is polypharmacy. We avoid being on too many medications. And how do we do that? We ask questions every single time a doctor wants to put us on medication. So if they say we need to be on that, You say, why? Is there an alternative? Do I have to be on this? What are the side effects? Is it interacting with the rest of my medications? That's a huge one.
Well, I think the bigger picture is start the new year and try to stop that prescribing cascade or de-prescribe. And so a lot of you out there may be already on a lot of medications. It's difficult to get off medications, but you're right, Ben. You should talk to your doctor. And this is a new year. This is where you should start is picking off medications that with your doctor in the picture and overseeing this is to get off medications. Like we've talked, like omeprazole, which is a acid reducing medication that people get put on all the time, multiple different blood pressure medications that no one takes ownership and doesn't know who started them, and side effects of fatigue, dizziness, lightheadedness may be related to polypharmacy.
Absolutely. Well, these are the top 5 things we avoid. These are the top 5 things we hope that you avoid. Thanks for coming and seeing us. Please comment below your thoughts and let us know what you think, and let us know things you'd like us to talk about. Please come and visit our health and wellness store. We produce products that we think will help you on your journey. It's ohighwellness.com if you're in the USA, or ohighwellness.co if you're in the UK. Check out our new ebooks too. We're producing more and more of them. They give you printed out books that you can follow on various dietary habits and life hacks. Thank you, and we'll speak again real soon.